One of my friends tagged me in the pictures on my Facebook, so my mom saw my pictures with my gay partners partying. So that's when she came to know my sexuality and my siblings as well.
And what was her reaction? Hello, our viewers. Thank you so much for joining us. It is your host, Mabel, from Out and Proud, OPAL, an African charity organization. And today, as always, it is Friday. We always have a guest. We have something to share with you. We always have, a new experience, a story, or something that is actually happening in the LGBTI community to share with you, our viewers. And it is always a pleasure to have you tuned in to listen to what we have to give to you. If it is your first time to join us, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And today we have a friend of ours, a member of Out and Proud. He has been with us for quite a while. And yes, he decided to come and share with us, you, our lovely viewers, his experience as a gay man from a homophobic country. And yes, his experience as a person who is part of the LGBT community. And yet to share his story, maybe it will touch someone, make an impact, Please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hello, our viewers from wherever you are around the world. I'm so happy to at least introduce myself to the world. All my community from UK, they know me. Now it's the time to introduce myself to the world. My name is George William Katende from Uganda, a gay man from Uganda. And I'm delighted to share all my history, I should say, to the entire world, at least to know that whosoever is an LGBT member, LGBTQ member, wherever you are, we are together. You're not alone.
Thank you so much for joining us, George. Thank you so much for agreeing to share your story with the world. Yeah. I know it is a big step, and yes, it is going to make a big impact to many people who are out there, people who are in the closet. People can come out, speak up for themselves, and maybe give them hope, and maybe it will show, what we're all about, especially back home with the current situation. Yes, George, my first question to you is going to be for you to share with us about your life growing up in Uganda.
Well, my life growing up in Uganda, I grew up here, I grew up in an extended family. As you know, Africans, we've got a big family. Well, I grew up with my cousins, nieces, nephews, and, my uncles, aunties, grandma. That's the kind of life I lived, or those are the kind of people that I lived with back in Uganda. It's a Christian family, of course, but Catholics, Protestants, or we may call it Anglicans, that was all part of my family. Well, I had friends from Muslim community as well. I had lots of friends. In fact, most of all my friends are from the Muslim community. So I should say that I come from a background of all different people, I should say. Well, I went to school in Uganda. Soon as I finished my secondary school, that was in 2004, that's when I came to UK. But just to elaborate more about my experience as a gay man in Uganda, growing up in a homophobic country, it's quite a lot to talk about. But I can break it down so that every person all over the world can understand the situation growing up in a homophobic country as a LGBTQ person.
Let me take you a bit back to your family life, because you've said you've grown up you grew up with your extended family, and apparently they were from different religions and belief sections. Did they ever know about your sexuality?
Simple answer I may give you. Back in Uganda, it's not a straightforward thing that you can just come out and say, I'm gay. And to be honest with you, the time when I was in Uganda, I had not opened up myself as a gay man. One side of my family were Catholic, the other side of my family were Protestants, or Anglicans, I should say. And the other side, which is the Muslim side, it wasn't my family, it was my friends. Really, all good friends of mine were Muslims. And like I was trying to say, being in Uganda, you can't really just come out and open up and say that you're a gay man or you are LGBTQ person. It's very, very, very hard. That's why you realize that it's only that when we come to a country like this, first of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the British government for having allowed the LGBTQ people to live the way we're supposed to live, the way we live naturally, the way we're supposed to live. Because in a homophobic country, they tend to think that we're faking it. But little do they know, a tree is a tree. So I'd like to thank the UK government for having given us a chance to live again. Otherwise, if I was back in Uganda, I would not have had this chance to come and talk about what we're talking about right now. Right. Going back to your question, I could not open up to any one of my relatives and tell them that I'm a gay man. No way. In fact, even when I found out, not even finding out, I remember when I was at school, there is a stage where boys and girls, you should say, well, let's say in biology, they used to call it when you have wet dreams. I could sit in a group of my friends, boys and all that. They could fantasize about girls and all that. But in my dreams, to be honest with you, there are a few boys that I used to look at. And they're the only people that I used to have in my wet dreams. Boys are talking about girls and all that, fantasizing. And my brains were on something different. So that really got me perturbed, as in English we should say perturbed or confused. I used to say, what's really going on in my life? Boys are talking about girls, and in my head I'm seeing boys. So I could not really come out and open up. Like if you're sitting in a group of boys talking about something, I could not contribute to the conversation. Because whatsoever I was going to contribute to my conversation was totally contradictory to what the boys were talking about. So I could not open up to my friends and say anything to do with I'm fantasizing a boy. So that's hard. That's as hard as it is, even just to open up to my friends. So I could not open up to my family and tell them that I'm a gay man.
Well, the people you were fantasizing about part of your group?
One of them was my friend. Of course.
So how did you, because I understand, me coming from Uganda as well, I understand, as we do grow up from, especially you said you were surrounded by, religious people, I should say. There is always this thing that homosexuality is so much taught about in a very negative aspect. And they will tell you about it at home. It is evil. It is this. It is this. You'll be cast out. You'll be cast. You're having these fantasies, and they're about a fellow boy.
And by the way,
how did you
And by the way, the school I went to my primary, where I finished my primary, my P7, it was a Christian. It was a Christian school, and on the top of that, I was in the church choir. On top of that, I was the church choir conductor. So you can imagine the role I was holding in the church itself. So that's why I could not come out and say anything about it, because during our church services, as like you say, they used to preach about about homosexuality and all that. So like I said, me experiencing my fantasy to a boy, I could not go to, because we used to call them the parish priest. There is a parish priest. I don't remember the actual word for the one below, not the brother. But in Uganda, in our country, we used to call them Musomesa. I don't know the actual name.
Is it the priest?
No, it's not the priest.
Evangelist?
Evangelist, I think it's the evangelist. Because they're the ones that he used to come around our dormitories, like look after us, blah, blah, blah. So I could not come out. You can't see a small boy like me at my P6, P7, P4 going to evangelist and tell him that, listen, I think there is something wrong with me. boys are talking about fantasizing girls, and I'm fantasizing one of my friends.
Well, I'll go back to my question. So you, like I've said, well, they do have these teachings. Well, in the home, they'll tell you about homosexuality, at school, in your class, even in church. So you've had these learnings or whatever, whoever has said, and they are saying being a gay man or seeing a fellow man in such a way is evil. You'll be considered as caste. You won't be allowed in community. You know this. They're telling you all these things, and yes, you're in that place now. These are the dreams you're getting. What came to mind? What did you think?
In my head, every time I was like, maybe I'm sleeping. I should wake up. Wake up, George. This is not you. Something is wrong. Well, I used to fight with myself. That's the actual answer I should give you. I used to fight with myself every time. But fighting to myself could not give me enough courage to go and open up to anyone, because like you said, or like we know it, in fact, they used to term it into Sodom and Gomorrah. That's the term they used to term it. And I could not see myself going to any of my friends, neither the evangelist, to tell them what I'm experiencing. So I was suffocating within myself.
So what did you do? Well, I guess what I would like you to share with us.
This is what I did. I had to pretend. I had to create a story with my friends to fit in. I'm going to give you a prime example. When I was still in Uganda, during those times, I remember I'm just giving you a prime example. My friends used to have a telly and a video deck by that time. They could go back home, watch movies and all that, but I didn't have it in my house. But they could come out and tell you about movies and all that. So I could sit and also imagine myself watching a movie. If they talk about, let's say, they watched Terminator, I could put myself in the same image and say, yeah, I watched it as well. That part there, when he came and punched a man, I say, yeah, I watched that as well. Did you watch it? So I had to put myself into the same image with them to fit within them. Otherwise, I was like an odd man out. Of course, I was an odd man out, but I didn't want to show myself that I'm an odd man out. So I had to fit in within them. That's the only way I could do it.
Apart from the dreams, or say the word dreams, what would you say made you feel like an old man out?
What made me feel like an old man out? We used to call it skipping a rope. How do you call it in English?
I think it's just that.
Yeah, skipping a rope, because that used to be for girls mostly. And we used to play okwepena. I don't know how they call it in dodgeball. I used to play that with the girls as well. And another thing I remember very well that I used to enjoy was playing mom and dad. And I used to wear the dresses. I remember we had a few friends. I had a few friends from the girls' dormitory. They used to pass me their dresses after school time. Of course, I used to put them on and then play mom and dad with them. I used to play most of my games were used with girls. And I used to play the mom role. I used to put their dresses on, more especially on Saturdays after school. On the weekends when we're not going for classes, we used to have those tins. We could cut them out and then pretend like we're cooking food. I used to love it so much, more especially dodging ball and jumping the rope, skipping the rope.
Yeah, I did. These are girl games, honestly.
I used to love them so much.
Yes,
and another thing I used to love to play was netball. I used to love playing netball as well, so much, every evening. In fact, netball, we used to play it every evening after school. We used to play it, so I used to join the girls and play netball as well. Another thing was volleyball as well. I used to join the girls and we played the volleyball. Lots of things I used to enjoy. That was during my primary school. Because my primary school, since I said it was a parish school, so we used to have variety of games for the kids. They used to have a lot of games. So in times that we off school, I'm out there.
Cause you're playing girl games, and of course people are watching you, and of course maybe some girls I know, they would come and pick on you. They'll be like, "Oh, you leave. Why are you playing with us?" Or even your boys as well. They'll like, they will like, call you out for playing with the girls. Did any of these things ever happen to you?
The funny thing, to be honest with you, girls used to love me play with them, and I was lucky enough to blend in within them, and no boy at the time could pick on me because the girls were there to defend me every time. More especially, I was so good at dodging ball, so girls used to defend me. They were like, when you have a defender in your team, for instance, a football team, you have your defender. So I was. Because even in dodging, we used to have those who throw and those who dodge the ball. So they used to categorize me as their defender. I used to win games for them. Okay. So that's anytime any boy could come around me. We used to have girls that were like really like boys. They could come and defend me at any time. So no boy could come and tease me. No way.
So what is because you're still playing with girls. I say you're spending most of your fun free time with girls, which coming from a homophobic country and Uganda, because we have the stereotype, and there's a certain way boys are supposed to be living their lives, and girls, and there's all these expectations which are expected of you as a boy child. Did anyone, maybe your family members, did they ever say anything about how you were behaving?
Much as I used to, more especially at home, back home during my school holidays, much as I used to play with girls, I used to play football as well. And my granny knows me about that as well, because she used to tell me that I'm the only person who used to go to fetch firewood or fetch water with my ball right here. Within myself fighting, I used to make sure that I balance up both sides, because I remember very well I used to play my football very well, and I remember I used to play. That's when I'm back home, my school holidays.
So why didn't you? Because you said you noticed you were different from your friends at school who were having the wet dreams, and then you used to play with girls, and of course you took note of these things, and you said you were fighting with yourself. Why didn't you tell anyone?
That's a very, very hard question. The reason why I've never told anyone, because from way back at school, they used to tell us how that is a sin. When I go back home during our Sunday services, because we used to go for Sunday services every Sunday, they used to teach about it. So I could not see myself coming out and tell them what's happening to me, and yet they say it's evil, it's an abomination. That means I would have got myself in trouble.
Okay.
So I kept this to myself. And I kept myself in that. That's the reason why all the time the girls came out to play, I'm there to play. More especially when I'm back home for my school holidays. And when the boys go out to play football, riding bicycle wheels, cut tires, I used to be there.
When did you realize that, okay, yes, now this was not just a dream, or this was not just an attraction, but actually I think I am a gay man?
I came to realize that I'm a gay man and can accept who I am when I came to England. Because I remember I used to go to college. It's called Hackney Community College in Shoreditch. Well, I used to have a lot of friends there, because I used to go there and do carpentry. That's where I done my carpentry course. And a lot of my friends used to ask me out, like we can go out on the Saturdays and all that. But I could not. Every time I was like, no. Because to be honest with you, growing up in Africa is a different thing growing up in UK. I was still that kind of person, because I know when you back home, you can't just go out. You have to ask your parents' permission, blah, 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 blah. So I had not got myself into UK culture. So I was like, no, I can't go out, because I'm with my parents. I'm with my mom. I can't just go out and then come back in the midnight to my mom. No, that's out of the way. But when I finished my college, that was in 2008, I was like, all right then, let me have a go with it. One of my friend, it's so funny that we used to go to Vauxhall there are a few different pubs that we used to go to during that time, 2008. And I remember one of the pubs that he introduced me to was, it's called Vauxhall Taverns, just by the bridge there. He introduced me to that. That's, like I said, in my head, I was like, yeah. But this time around, going to Vauxhall Taverns, I was well shocked. That was an eye-opener. I was like, wow. People like me are in this pub. I was like, that means I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with me, because I found there LGBTQ people in that pub. I was so happy within myself, in my heart. I could not express my happiness to the person I was with at that time, but I was full of joy. That's when I say, how do you call it? To sigh a relief, a relief of sigh. I say, wow, this is me now. That's when I came to terms that I'm a gay man and this is who I am. Nothing's ever gonna change me. And from then, that was like a click on. Ever since then, I've never left going to Vauxhall Taverns. I was introduced to other pubs down in Clapham. There are a few pubs in Tooting that I used to go to with that same person. We used to go out all the time. And to be to be honest with you, that was my first partner in the UK.
Oh, wow.
He introduced me to Vauxhall Tavern, a few pubs in Clapham, the other one.
Well, so you mentioned as you came to the UK to join your mum.
Yep.
Well, did you ever tell her about your sexuality?
Nope. Not at all.
Does she know about your sexuality
Apparently
right now?
Now she knows.
How did they come to find out?
Well, we're living in a modernity, we call it a modernity world right now, because I used to hang around with lots of my friends, and some of my friends are friends to my siblings. One of my friends tagged me in the pictures on my Facebook, so my mom saw my pictures with my gay partners partying. So that's when she came to know my sexuality and my siblings as well.
And what was her reaction?
Well, my mom has been in this country for so long. Of course, she knows about LGBTQ. She was a little bit furious, a little bit disappointed, but in the end, since she's been in this country, she knows we exist. She had to take me in as I am.
How about your siblings?
My siblings as well, they take me in as I am.
Well, you've told us about your life in Uganda. Well, you've told us a bit about your struggles down there as a gay man, and well, your life here and your family, which has decided to embrace you for who you are. How is George Katende's life like in the UK?
My life in the UK, since I'm in an open, free, LGBT country, I'm happy. And I'm so glad to be in this country whereby we embraced, whereby they take us in as LGBT people, because we are human beings just like anyone else in the world. And I thank the UK government for that opportunity.
Do you have a partner?
Apparently, I'm having no strings attached partners, because my heart has been broken in so many pieces. And I'm so scared to attach somebody on my heart right now. But even though I'm scared, it doesn't mean that I don't want to have a life partner. Of course, I'm out there searching. But right now, I'm just no strings attached.
Wow, where to go?
Just flying up in the air like a butterfly.
You're here today. You're on our platform. How did you come to be here?
Well, I came to be here because of one of my friends, like I said, the ones that I used to hang with all the way from Vauxhall Taverns. They introduced me to Out and Proud, because most of them used to come to Soho, and all of a sudden, some of them even used to be part of Out and Proud. They are still part of Out and Proud. They introduced me to Out and Proud, and I'm so glad to be part of Out and Proud, because just like the word states, Out and Proud, I'm out and proud as well. That makes me so happy to mingle with my country mates who are of the same sexuality with me. And I'm so glad to have that opportunity as well.
Okay. And well, what would you like? What would you share with our viewers today who are watching? Well, about Out and Proud.
Well, whosoever is out there in the UK, more especially in the UK, when you can come to Out and Proud, come and mingle with us. We are fun, we are family, we welcome everyone. Whatsoever country you come from, just come and join Out and Proud. It's an open door for everyone.
Well, is there anything? Is there any way Out and Proud has contributed to you, to your life, or has impacted you?
It has contributed a lot to my life because, first of all, there are family out of family. I should say when I'm with Out and Proud, it's home away from home. And that comforts my heart. Every time we meet on Saturdays, every time we come and meet, like on Fridays, every time we meet for beach parties, every time we meet that's like family to me. That's how much it's impacted to me. For something to become a family to me, that's a huge impact. That's all I should say.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
The only thing I could add to it, whosoever is out there, please don't keep yourself in a closet. You are who you are, and you are who you are. Come out and enjoy your life freely. Don't think of anything else. And more especially here in the UK, no one is going to persecute you. You are free to live your life. And for those who are out there in the persecution countries, we are praying for you. You are not alone. We shall fight. We shall fight. We shall fight for you until to the last breath that we have in our lives. LGBT community has to be free wherever you are in the world.
Thank you so much, George, for sharing with us. Thank you so much for joining us today. I believe, your story is going to have an impact on people out there and maybe give hope to some. And yes, this was George Katende, a member of Out and Proud, who has been sharing his story with us from Uganda and through his life here where he is. He is a happy gay man living free in England, in the UK. Well, as you have heard, if you've missed a bit of what he's been sharing with us, you can always click and you get to see about his experiences. It has been a pleasure having you, and thank you so much.
Pleasure to have you too.
Do not forget to like, share and subscribe if it is your first time to tune in, and press on that bell icon for notifications whenever we are tuned in. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a lovely weekend. Bye bye.